Now to Stewart Island, where 145 pilot whales have died after stranding on the remote beach of Mason Bay. It was one of several strandings reported throughout the country over the weekend. And while the Department of Conservation says it's a heartbreaking event, their attention has turned to saving killer whales on 90 Mile Beach. Our Otago Southland reporter Timothy Brown has more.
By the time Department of Conservation staff reached the two pods of pilot whales late on Saturday night, more than half were already dead.
Half the whales were already dead, and then the other whales were semi-buried, so there's already been a couple of tides go across these whales. By the look of the sand that had covered some of them, that they'd actually been there for longer than 24 hours. And the ones that were still alive, they were looking poorly.
That's Ren Leppins, the department's Stewart Island operations manager. He says as a result of the condition of the whales and their remote, difficult-to-access location, DOC staff made the heartbreaking decision to euthanise the survivors.
It's pretty hard to get into that location. And then looking at the number of whales that there were as well, it would have been a mammoth task to try to get them back out, and we wouldn't have even known if they would have made it, let alone the type of whale that they are. They'd probably go back out and then swim back inshore.
DOC staff were only alerted to the stranding by a tramper who was camping in the area happening across them. Mr. Leppins says they would now let nature take its course and allow the whales to decompose on the beach and be taken by the sea. While it was a staggering number of deaths, it is far from the deadliest stranding at Mason Bay, where more than 300 whales stranded in 1998. Rochelle Constantine, an associate professor in marine biology at the University of Auckland, says the deadliest whale stranding recorded in New Zealand occurred only last year, when more than 300 animals died on Farewell Spit in Golden Bay.
It sort of came in about 3 waves of pilot whales came into Golden Bay. The estimates there were up around, I think it was 600 or 700 pilot whales in total came up in Golden Bay over that really short span of time, and there's been an estimated one historically of around 1,000.
The reasons for whale strandings are complex, multifaceted and poorly understood, but that didn't stop those online from pointing to earthquakes in the area. However, Dr. Constantine says there's no evidence that earthquakes are linked to strandings, though New Zealand is a hotspot for both. At the weekend, a sperm whale died after becoming stranded at Doubtful Bay in Northland, and a dead female pygmy sperm whale also washed up at Ohiwa. 10 pygmy whales also stranded at 90 Mile Beach. 2 have since died and refloat attempts are underway. Te Runanganui Aotearoa Trust Office Manager Rosie Conrad says 8 of the whales on 90 Mile Beach remain alive. She says DOC and iwi are working together to try and return them to the deep ocean.
There are 10 whales stranded. 8 are still alive, 2 have passed away. So I think everything's still on the beach, and people are just working on trying to get the 8 that are still alive back into the water. Which, the tide's now turned, it's on its way out on Te Oneroa Tohe, so it's probably fighting against the tide now to get them back out.
Rosie Conrad says she hopes the remaining whales can be pushed out on the next high tide at midnight, but they do have plans in place in the case of more deaths. For Checkpoint, Timothy Brown.